we have to learn the culture to not offend. Because one time, and this is going to sound so obvious now as a 24-year-old, and even to you.
Yeah, now that
I was on a date with a girl, one of my first dates ever, and like she was eating all the things. I'm like, good job, you finished all the food. But I had to fundamentally understand that about their culture to know not to do that. I think I said something like, oh, you like ate a lot, like.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know you could eat so much.
You sound like my grandmother when she like would be like.
Well, that's the thing is that's what I was being like, because like every time I finish all my food, like my mom would be like, "That's like so great."
Exactly, your mom.
That's true.
You're just proving my point.
Not to waste the food.
And if my grandmother was doing it, it would be the fat shame.
He's on for one of his first dates. He was like, "I don't know what to talk about. You finished all your food. Good job."
Yeah, you get a second date.
With that girl, I did not.
Yeah,
no,
probably not. What's up? Welcome back to Dark Mode, a comedy podcast where we talk about business and entrepreneurship and tech and work and stuff like that. I've got some amazing guests today I'm super excited about. Starting from the other side of the table, Allie Egan, founder of Veracity, worked at some other awesome brands. How did you, I mean, you were kind of telling us a little bit before this, but like, I'm curious, your main sort of hero product is all natural Ozempic alternative.
Yeah.
How did you come across that? How did you like develop that?
How did we get into this business?
Yeah. How did you get in the business of curing, I don't know, fatness?
We started, I was like, whoa, what's he
curing people like me, curing my people. I appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah.
So we started with hormone testing, which may sound niche, but basically all of our hormones are messed up and it's causing all these problems for us, whether it's making us fat or breaking us out or not letting us sleep. And we were getting lots of data from the hormone test and people telling us their issues, and weight management and metabolic health was the number one thing. So we said we actually have to do something here. And we have a physician team. So we actually put real science behind what we do, spend about 1.5 years or so developing our product, which is an all natural plant-based alternative to Ozempic, but it's actually treating the root cause.
Yeah.
And now we have a growing business. So
I like how you said real science, because that's, you got to clarify.
I mean, we're not Lemme.
It's not bro science.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It's not just TikTok. Yeah, exactly.
What's going to happen?
Is this Elizabeth Holmes' new company?
I was actually thinking that. I was like, this is so exciting. We're going to be able to say we're on the podcast when your documentary comes out in the future.
I know I've never been here with Ann Couture and Dude Perfect, so I'm happy to be here.
I love how he was like, my people, and your man is not obese at all. There's going to be some obese people watching this.
I am on Ozempic. What's going to happen to me?
Why, were you obese before, or you think this is obesity?
I think us guys have a different standard.
I think I don't look thick. I hide it well. I'm in shape. I like work out a lot, but I'm pretty thick. Like my BMI is high. I weigh like over 200 pounds.
Oh, that is thick.
Yeah, I'm a thick boy.
But still, I would think that I
got on it pretty recently, so TBD.
So you might throw up like during this podcast.
Yeah, I feel a little pregnant. I'm told. I don't know.
Wait, you're on her drug?
No, I'm on the real stuff.
I think my goal should be by the end of this to convert you. Yeah, off Ozempic on.
Yeah, well, so what's going to happen to me? Like, what's the am I going to?
I mean, your GLP-1 is going to skyrocket.
What's that mean? Can you say that dumber?
You have a hormone that is stimulated normally when you eat food. It's like, it normally lasts in your body for like 30 seconds to a minute, but now you're taking it synthetically and now it lasts for days.
Okay.
And so that like now tells your brain, I'm not hungry, so you're not going to eat. So you probably won't be hungry during that.
I feel I'm powering right through that.
Can I say something?
Can we have one of those?
You look concerned. Are you okay?
I thought you said 300 pounds. I just realized 200 pounds not that bad, right? For a man?
200 pounds is pretty big for a guy who's like 5'8".
Oh, you are short.
Yeah.
You should.
My BMI is high. If you ask a doctor, they'd be like, your BMI is too high.
Okay, so it's worrying for your health. So there's a good reason.
We're in America, so 220-ish is the average for a man. So
that's
it doesn't seem that bad, but that is.
How long has it been since you've been in Ireland? Maybe you're just not used to. Or are people fat in Ireland too?
No. I mean, they're thick. We got that Gaelic football legs.
Yeah.
So no.
I've got the Irish genes.
People are bigger here. I've lived here for 10 years. So two things. Firstly, I do. There has been a thing about in Ireland that they're getting worried about obesity, but that's because of fast food being a thing. Mm-hmm. But I go back all the time. Like I was just there for a month. But I also live in New York. People are thin here or they're fit. So I don't get that. Secondly, if you're Irish genes, you're more likely to gain weight because of the famine gene.
So now I'm kind of waffling.
We're like, we gotta hang on to those calories.
Well, no, it's anybody who comes from, if their previous generations come from famine, and the Irish famine was insane. 300 or like 3/4 of the population either died or emigrated, and we've never made up the numbers. So like that's how bad it was. But that means that any weight that you put on, your body is always fighting to get back to that weight because it's the survival instinct of remember when we starved to death. So you're kind of fucked.
I have a very interesting, like, I mean, I didn't mean to make this the sharing hour, but you know,
that's what I love. Share.
Yeah. But I have an interesting set of circumstances. One, I've got those Irish genes. And then two, I, in a other life many years ago, I was like a legitimate contender for the US Olympic team in distance running.
Wow.
This was a lot of pounds ago.
Really?
So
I'm a runner.
Yeah. So I trained my body to like burn calories very, what I would have called efficiently, what most people would call inefficiently, slowly. In other words,
What events were you?
Like my best event was like called the steeplechase.
I know the steeplechase.
Okay, all right.
That's so
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
That is the coolest
jump over stuff.
craziest event, by the way.
That's the one where you
It's
jump
like,
over
let me
water.
It's a good
jump
time.
over- Yeah, let me get my feet wet. And
there's
then
not a lot of room for
like
error.
sprinting around the track.
And like, how do they even, most tracks, I'm like, that's really annoying to set up.
It's inside the track.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You got to take the, I've
It's
seen
there
them take it
permanently.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
They dig it out. It's there. It's just inside the track. You don't see it most of the time. But yeah, no. And I like that in this just barely in the Olympics, somebody hit one and got knocked all the way unconscious because I'm
he,
like,
won a
those
medal.
are the stakes.
Yeah.
Those are the stakes. Yeah, like you get over that thing or it gets over you. It's a good time.
He went to the hospital afterwards.
No, he was all the way unconscious. Yeah, for
So why
a
don't you
minute.
take her drug?
I mean,
You
I didn't know about it until
Oh.
kind of recently. What's
She
that?
DM'd her that you read.
I was
like,
saying,
you're on
I,
it now.
now
Look at the bio.
I have to sell him on it.
Yeah, no, right.
I
She
already sold you.
hasn't. She hasn't really sold me well enough yet. So I gotta, she can
Hormone
convince
thing
me.
is really interesting though.
Yeah,
That's real.
Yes. I mean, a lot of reasons why we are obese is because our hormones are reprogrammed from the food we eat, from the 70%
Yes.
ultra processed foods.
What's the product called?
It's called Metabolism Ignite.
Have you thought of calling it Impossible Ozempic?
I know.
like
I'm
an
gonna add that
impossible,
to the
like an
list.
impossible burger.
Yeah, it's plant-based, right?
Yeah. It's true.
Plant-based stuff is great.
Although, isn't it like
Impossible.
isn't it the not so secret that Impossible and Beyond is like actually quite terrible for you?
Ugh, it's like
They're
oat
like
milk.
Frankenfoods.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
People
like
came for my
a
oat
diet
milk.
soda. You
Just
know?
to be clear, I don't, there's no way it can be that good for you if it's like, hey, we took a thing that, we kind of made pretty with like natural stuff like sugar and we made it taste good, just as good. And it doesn't have any calories.
Yes,
Just don't ask
yes,
questions.
yes.
There's no way that's good.
I
No.
do think there is something because I use this face product and it's like plant-based retinol or plant-based vitamin C. And my skin looks good. I'm 33, so I'm all for
if you do say so yourself.
I think so. People
Yeah.
tell
Power
me online.
plants,
I feel
man.
like compared to before
Did you
because
say people tell me online?
yeah,
Yeah.
and to my face.
The internet people say my skin
And Gen
looks
Z
great.
always ask me what my skincare routine is, but
Yeah.
I'm afraid to use any of the I never use actual retinol, and that's kind of scary to me. But something that's just like putting oranges on my face, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And there's no like
That can't be
crazy
bad.
ingredient. Yeah, so there's no. And I did notice a difference. Like my skin cleared up because I always got bad
Put
acne. Since I was
oranges on your faces.
but that's basically what it is.
Like
And
you
so-
like sat there and
no, okay. So a lot of these face products have like
Citrusy
crazy
fruits.
chemicals in it, and like
Okay.
retinol is like it's burning your face off, and they go,
Yes.
"Don't go into the sun because you can get more
It's like stripping
sunburn."
the top layer of your skin off.
Whereas this was like it's a product where they say it's none of that stuff. We're just going for the natural stuff. So it's like I'm
so
saying
it's orange based. You're not putting
it's
oranges.
vitamins. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
whatever. But
It's
it's like
not
all
actually- it's
natural
not like
stuff. It's not
rubbing
like
slices
crazy
on there.
chemicals,
Yeah.
which I just think that's more what we're meant to do. That's like going back to nature. All this other stuff is so you rip off your face and they have to buy another product to put it back on a face. This
Yeah.
is why these Gen Z are looking older than and not you
Yeah.
per se.
These people-
But
Well, he wants to look older.
These
So
Gen
I would
he's
Z
say,
achieving-
yeah, and,
your skin
and,
looks great.
and even
You know wrinkles.
that's true. Well,
I mean, do I-
Can't
Yeah.
sit here with 3 white people and be like, well, yeah, it's my routine.
It's
Like, that would be,
my
that's just.
routine.
I mean,
you got-
I'm white and I'm like, I don't think I look.
I know, but
super
I think in
aged.
general, you guys do have to work a little harder for that. I know there's stuff that like we have to work harder
The
for.
white people you're saying have to work harder for?
Well, I grew up in Ireland.
You
it was
want to
a
help
bigger
me?
cloud.
You want to you want to help me?
Producer's like, no, I'm out, dude. I don't even have a
I
mic.
think Irish in Ireland is different though because it's cloudy all the time. You're not getting the sun. You're
might
not
be
getting
true.
sun damage. So
But
you
that's
see some
why-
of these people
yeah,
in
but that's why you
Arizona. They're like
don't have
21.
the-
They look like a fucking prune.
That's true. That is true.
You should not live here.
That's
Your
true.
colonizer
This
ass
is-
back.
yeah.
Don't go back to our country.
Clearly,
You don't want it.
you were meant to be in northern Europe.
Yeah,
like, why
get
are
back
you
to
so far
Scandinavia.
south? You're
Get
too
back
far
to
south.
The snow.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. You're like a polar bear at the equator here.
Yeah. But just to say, I feel like the all natural stuff it's good, right?
It is good.
I don't know. I've never even had your product. I don't know why I'm selling it.
It just depends if it works. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that like, you know, when they make foods that are like better for you versions of a thing, you know what I mean? Whether it's a Frankenfood or just like a low calorie one or like a all natural one, I almost always taste it and think I just wouldn't eat this. It's just not as good. You know what I mean? So I guess in all natural is probably better as long as it actually works and like does the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even if we do clinical testing. So
here's your chance, pitch. Yeah.
Unless it's the placebo. And then you're like, I'm losing weight, but you're not realizing that you're just not eating
versus
it.
the placebo.
Her product,
like legit.
Her product really? Comes with like a new friend. You get a new friend with it, and that person just like tells you you're fat all the time. They're like, you suck.
I mean,
stop eating so much food.
It?
And then you're like, okay, I feel horrible about myself, and then it motivates you.
I really don't want people to message you online now being like, your skin is terrible. Okay, well, I actually just have a scratch on my nose because I scratched it with my nails.
It's fine. It's fine.
I start panicking.
I wouldn't have been like, hey, your skin is like the first thing I notice about you. But it's good.
Okay, you could have just stopped at the sentence before.
Well, I mean,
I'm still 33. I feel like I don't
honest.
have that many wrinkles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 33 as well, and I look way more shot out than you do, I think.
I don't think so. You don't have a lot of wrinkles. You look good as well.
I have like this bags. I don't sleep enough.
Yeah, it turns out if you just sleep, it solves a lot of your issues.
Yeah.
Crazy how that works. All right. So we didn't really intro you guys. Allie Boyd, right? No, you're Allie. You're Allie. You're Katie. Yeah. Why do they're like two white girl names that get mixed up for me? So Katie Boyd, right?
No.
Boyle.
Why did I not know that? Because my name is Coyle.
I thought it was written in your notes. I was like looking at your notes like, okay, this is professional. Like it.
It is in my notes. Well, that's something else.
It's higher up.
It's there. Yeah,
you're on the Deloitte website right now.
Yeah. Well, they've got some Gen Z. They've got some stats about your people.
They didn't sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, no. Katie Boyle. My name is Coyle, so that's neat.
It's good you know your name.
Yeah, I didn't know yours.
That's fine. It's not yours.
Yeah, you are from Ireland. Say more about that. You've been here for a long time now.
I've been here for 10 years. Yeah, I'll be 10 years in November, but I go back all the time because I tour there. So
you don't have any. You're not no citizenship here.
Not at the moment. No? Jesus.
You don't want to. You're like, hey.
No, I do. Yeah.
Okay, you do want
to.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know the name of it.
The Alien of Extraordinary Ability one.
I'm not sure. I got it a long time ago.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I'm just
trying to get her
exported.
Yeah.
Deported.
Deported.
No.
Exported.
Yeah. I have a green
She's
card,
one of our major Irish people. They're one of our major exports. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm very funny comedian on the come up. You've been getting more popular in the last few years, I think. Yeah. At least in the internet people find you more popular, more funny.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You're like, no, I've been funny this whole time, dude.
Oh, no.
The way you're looking at me, it's like you hate what I'm saying right now.
No, I don't think it was a question. I didn't know what you want me to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, how'd you get into comedy? Why'd you?
You
got some childhood trauma or something, or?
Yeah, I don't think that's a prescript.
How do the people who spend thousands of dollars to stay skinny into older age, they don't have a mental disorder, but we do?
I definitely have. I need so much external validation.
We want to be funny, and you're like, oh wow, there's some deep-seated issues there, dude.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, no, like I don't know. I've been to therapy, and I feel more self-aware than
that's good.
Lots of other people who haven't. I would always say everybody go to therapy. In my country, more people need to go to therapy. They're a bit against talking about your feelings, but and I still do stand up. I don't know. Maybe if I went to therapy when I was younger, maybe I would have never started. But I love it.
Yeah. I love so without having to get into your, I think that was like, how did you get into comedy though? Like tell the actual.
I can also talk about the childhood trauma. I don't give a shit. I want to talk to my mother. So I'm not going to lie here and be like, no, everything was perfect. I'm going to talk to my own mother in 18 years. So there's definitely childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But no, I was working at Moment PS1 when I first moved over. And there was a comedy club called Creek in the Cave across the street. And I went over and I just loved it. And that was it. And once I started doing it, everybody was so nice to your face, which is all I care about. I found the comedy community lovely. And I had just come from the art world in New York where I was an immigrant. I had no money. I'd spent everything to get there. And they were so snobby to me. Like these younger kids, I guess they were all like, I don't even know what trust fund even means still to this day, but there's no level of rich like that in Ireland. And they would use like 4-syllable words and they would kind of snuff at me. And I guess my accent as well makes me sound a bit like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They were just like, who is this little poor girl? And they were just kind of mean. And I felt like not included. And then I went to the comedy world. Firstly, all the comedians were very inclusive, again, in my experience. And then secondly, comedy, you don't need to spend any money on it when you start out, at least. So I was only in the museum to be an artist, but I couldn't afford to have a studio or anything. And then secondly, everybody can laugh at your jokes. It doesn't matter what class, it doesn't matter where you're from. Whereas art, and then in New York, I found it very snobby. Like in Ireland, I found it more like welcoming and more like, okay, you don't understand it, but that's fine. But it was just very like, I found it like kind of elitist in a way. That was my experience. And I just was like, whereas comedy is just like, you can just,
none of the New York art elite community really watches my podcast. It's not who it appeals to. So you can say whatever you want about them.
They're
the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is more, the more now that I'm older and I go to things, I'm like, oh, there's so much more inclusive art in like Brooklyn or whatever. But I was just new to the country and I didn't really.
Wait, is that what brought you here? Is you wanted to do art?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of artist are you?
I'm not anymore, but it was a installation and sculpture and video as well.
Okay.
So it was all a bit mentally
weird. Is that on the internet somewhere? Like if I wanted to dig that up?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Okay.
And you'd be like,
maybe I'll edit
I see
it
the
in.
mental health issues.
I might put it in post. Yeah.
It's my dad said I don't understand it. It must be good. So
that's how I know.
So I don't know. It's a bit mental.
I did, like I went to like MoMA and I'm like, I don't get any of this. This is how.
And I love art. I think if you have someone who studied it, we had a woman in Ireland. It was a documentary, but she said she would bring people in to look at the art that were just like farmers or whatever. So a big agricultural country, but they would be like, it's shit. We don't get it. I don't understand it. And then she'd explain it. And one guy went from bollocks to brilliance in a couple of seconds. Bollocks means like, Okay. Anyway, but I think if you have someone who knows and you can be like super fun and which is what I thought. I remember bringing my cousin to MoMA and showing her a famous Picasso painting. And I was like, no, you have to understand, this had never been done before. This is what inspired, like the camouflage in your clothes. And she looked at her phone. She goes, oh my God, there's Wi-Fi. And I was like, okay, so I don't know. So maybe you just have to have a real love for it. But
yeah, I think that's it. You have to be genuinely interested.
Yeah.
How much do people have to explain? Because is it like it's
you
not
need
like
to know the
sports
history
where it's like once you learn the rules, you can enjoy it. It's like there's new rules for every type of art.
Yeah, I think it depends on when it was made too and what you could have seen before. People are like, I could have done that. And it's like, A, you didn't, and B, no one had done that at that time. Yeah. And then what was happening at the time, like what's the historical reference? Like Dada art was to say, fuck you to World War I.
Right.
And the rich people. But now it's in a
museum.
You gotta be
into history to be
and
into
it's so
art.
expensive. Right. Yeah, you kind of do. And
that's because being like a
know.
history buff in the US, I feel like there's a comedian who has a joke that's like early onset conservatism. Being into history, being like a history buff.
Really? Oh, right. Yeah. But that's just because they're just into World War II.
Yeah, specifically.
I mean, that's concern. If you're just talking about World War II all the time, I'm like, I don't think you like me as a woman.
You're going to be,
or the Roman Empire. Can we learn about can you talk about a different, my ex-boyfriend was so into the Roman Empire. And
there's so many years in between those. Like what? Yeah.
I know, but it's really good as a woman sometimes when you have nothing to talk about and you have a long journey and you're just like, tell me about the Roman Empire. And they will waffle on for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's great. I can go to sleep.
But yeah,
keep talking.
Let men learn about some other historical, learn about the 1916 Rising in Ireland. That's fun.
Yeah. That's the Troubles, right?
No.
The
Troubles.
Did you say 1960 or?
16.
Oh, 1960.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Troubles is in the 60s. That started then.
I mean,
1960s, 65, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I know some things.
You're killing it.
I know, like, that's one of the two things I know.
Okay, it's good. Yeah. A lot of people don't either. I wouldn't even be annoyed if it's a lot of hit. There's a lot
Can
of
I explain it to? I guess
it was, go ahead. Hit us with it was, it ended probably around when you were like a kid, right?
Yeah, so the last big bomb was 98 in August. And so that was the bomb that they were like, okay, we got to sort this out.
This is Northern Ireland and Ireland.
This was the last.
Yeah.
No.
Have you guys seen the movie
Northern
Boondock
Ireland
Saints?
And Ireland weren't attacking each other.
Okay.
That's Korea.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's not.
Do you guys really want to?
That's Vietnam.
Give us the TLD. Give us the TLDR of the 20 to 30 year long kind of like. It's like, I would call it, based on my knowledge, it's like between like a gang fight and like a war. It's like somewhere in between there, right? Like,
yes, I mean, it kind of goes back to the 1600s, because that was when the Brits put in settlers into the north, and so there's a Protestant population that would associate themselves with the Union Jack, like they're English, Irish, they're, so they're their family tree. But when Ireland got its freedom from the Brits would not give the 6 counties up there because it was majority Protestant. So they got to keep that as a separate country. And then, but that meant that the Catholics up there were a minority and they were extremely oppressed. They couldn't vote because you could only vote if you had property, but then Protestants would have multiple properties, so they could have multiple votes. And so they had like, shitty places where they lived. It was all very segregated. And so slowly but surely they did hunger strikes, they did protests, and none of this to avail. People died in the hunger strikes, like they starved, and still nothing. And so all of this was like an extension of the IRA.
Yeah.
I do know a little bit about this now, not by name, but the reason I know about it is because I'm Indian. And there's this interesting bond that people always joke about between the Irish and Indians, even though we're so different because of that.
Yeah.
Against the British, doing very similar efforts to gain our independence.
The partition they used there was a copy from, and the partition they used with Palestine was a copy as well. And each time they knew, it's not working in Ireland, let's fucking do it everywhere else.
Try it again. I don't know. Maybe the 17th time is the charm.
Yeah. And so similar rebellion and similar. But
the British were really into conquesting for a minute.
And just messing
They were
it up.
really settlers.
And now they're rioting. I'm like, calm down. They're rioting in their country. I'm like, you can't go into every country and then be pissed off that, that there's people living in your country.
They're like, but that wasn't us. That was generations ago.
They're just mental. They're just going through it.
And then, why? I mean, this is good. But why?
Let's go.
Wyatt Figredo?
He only fucked up my name so he could fuck up yours and feel comfortable about it.
Nobody's right. Hers was so easy. There's like not that many syllables.
Because Katie Boyle was so hard.
It was really hard. Yeah. Super hard.
I guess I'd be, if not the outlier, but I guess I would just disagree. I always wanted to be a comedian and I had a very good childhood.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Your parents loved you?
My parents loved me. My parents to this day are very supportive.
Nice.
Life is pretty good. And
I
was just always a comedy nerd as a kid. So I wanted to become a comedian.
Nice. You said you're Indian. Were your parents born here or were they?
My parents were born in India. Yes.
They were born in India.
Yes.
And a thing I hear from a lot of Indians is that they would not be supportive of a career like
correct.
comedy. So that's pretty awesome that they are. Yeah. Cool.
Your parents are younger though, are they?
My parents are 30 years older than me. So like 53, 54.
Yeah, that's quite young.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess as well, like if you want to be good at your art, you do have to be mentally well. So you are already killing it.
I don't know.
You do,
a lot of people say.
I think you do.
I think we all just have our own process.
Yeah.
I just feel like if you're mentally unwell,
you really think the Beatles did their best work when they were like killing it mentally? I don't know if they were ever killing it mentally.
Kanye did his best work recently. So
your point does not stand. Yeah. I don't know. Graduation was
sarcastically.
Graduation was a great ass.
I was like, I loved all of Kanye's early work.
Now that you said that, I'm like, I don't know his recent work, but Graduation. Graduation was a fantastic album, and that was like, what 2008?
Don't watch that.
2007.
It's okay.
It's not.
Sorry,
his recent stuff isn't good.
It wasn't Gen Z friendly.
Yeah, it wasn't Gen Z. I mean, that was it. Just intro yourself. How did you get into comedy?
Like I said, I always wanted to be a comedian. So when I was about 16 or whatever, I was in high school, drove to an open mic in Pleasanton, California.
Are you from there? You're not from here?
I'm originally from California, but I moved here for school and then stayed afterwards.
Nice. Yeah.
Work, so yeah.
Cool.
So I got into it.
All right. So I got some Gen Z stats to hit you guys with. What are your okay. All right. So Gen Z, one of the things, I'm just going to read you something that an NYU professor said about his students.
I went to NYU.
You did?
Let's see this. Let's see what my professor said about it.
It was Scott Galloway. I don't know what you studied, but that was who this professor was. He said, where is it in my notes? I remember it. He said, when he
doesn't remember the names though.
No. When he asks his students how much they think they're going to be making by the time they're 35. So for them, this would be like 15 years. Most of them believe that they're going to be in the top 1% of income earners by then, which would be like $750K a year, by the way. That's like 90% of them say that they're going to be in the top 1%. And then when he says like, what do you feel like, what's the most balance or what's the most like important thing to you? And they say balance.
This is Gen Z's now.
This is Gen Z.
It's not even going to be a society by the time they hit 33, 34.
So one of the stats.
They're going to be in a camp. I don't know what the fuck they're talking
they're
about.
They're going to be, or AI. Like,
isn't that like the best thing for a generation that thinks we're the main character though? Like, yeah, of course we're here for the final episode.
Yeah.
World ends. That's why I was born now.
I think
but that's why it's like thinking that there's going to be like things are going to change. I feel so much in the next 10 years. I don't know.
It's like when they talk about. It's like when they. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I
was going to say 60% of Gen Zs think AI will eliminate all jobs. 60%, 59%.
But
how will they have all the money?
Yeah. $750K.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it.
All right, I guess I have to defend this now. So
yeah, tell us. Can we have a representative of your people?
Can we have a stat from millennials? Because I actually think that this is generally just a very American culture thing, which is the like capitalist worship, which is like, I'm going to be the outlier. Yes, the system's fucked, but I'm going to be the outlier to, make it to the top, which also is a way to cope, I'm sure. So I think that a lot of American generations are very similar.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it's an American thing. I also think you just can't physically make that money where I grew up. And then secondly, if that is true about AI, then that would be Marxist, communist sort of society where you get to do your hobbies more, you get a paycheck, you get to be with your friends and family more. There's not this, if you're going...
The AI would be privately owned. It would not be publicly owned.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I want public.
You think that the AI is just going to be there to make our lives better?
It's virtuous.
That's what it should be.
I don't think most Americans think that it's going to be there to make our lives better.
Yeah, I think a lot of us...
Most of us think Terminator.
Cynical. I never think anything good is going to happen.
Yeah. Because it's not like I believe
to allow us to have like an Alexa or anything that can listen to our voice.
Yeah,
it's like it's going to be used against us one day.
Yeah.
Well, I think I just don't necessarily think like the government is going to be at the forefront of AI development. You know what I mean? I think it's probably going to be private companies.
Aren't Gen Z changing the world?
Greta Thunberg is out there every day doing what she does. I don't know how much it helps, but I support her and I like what she does.
Should I buy gold?
Yeah.
So that's actually an Indian thing. Like
debank.
Like seriously, they're like buy property, buy gold, everything else, waste of money.
My dad was like, buy a Rolex and send it home. We're all freaking out here.
That's his like retirement plan.
Because he was like, it's just gold. You send it to me, I'll keep it. Next, I just see him in pictures wearing it.
he's living that influencer life. Just 40% of Gen Z feel stressed or anxious most of the time. Why are you guys so stressed out, man?
I mean, everybody is.
Everybody is, but like I feel like Gen
think
Z,
of the stage of life.
A bunch of them are still not even.
That's
in
why
their
I'm
20s
saying
yet.
think of their stage of life. Weren't you very stressed out in high school and college? You likely were.
No.
I would
that was
say
like
that
the best time.
You're 24, so you're a little older, but my sisters are younger and they're Gen Z. They did their their SATs through a pandemic. So they were locked in, studying for 2 years, couldn't see friends. And I mean, the lock-in was a bit more intense in Europe, I think, than here. But let's say it's still intense here. So they're and then everything was on the internet. And then they had to do more of the internet because that's how they connected with friends. So of course, anxiety
also,
and stress makes sense.
Too Indian about the methodology of this, but I think to actually talk about the trends, we would have to compare this to historical data.
For sure.
Because you're just throwing out the number 40-something.
Yeah, what was it when millennials were? Well, and it could be.
Yeah, I was way more stressed in my early 20s than I am now.
I was more stressed in high school and college than I am now.
Oh yeah, secondary school.
That's why I guess I feel that you might be stressed because of that.
I think that to your point, like about the first thing, like where a lot of Gen Zs think they're going to make like be in the top 1%, but balance is the most important thing. And a lot of Gen Zs are getting like shit on in the workplace right now. They're like, they're like lazy or they're super entitled or whatever. I'm like, I remember people saying that about millennials. That was happening.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like when we were like young enough to be coming into the workplace, like social media was a thing and everybody was on Facebook like these damn kids.
I also don't think they're lazy. I think that we were being taken advantage of. Specifically before the pandemic, I was working every single day, and my value that I was brought up was you work, especially in Ireland, that it was always work, and that's what your value is. And then Gen Z were like, you don't have to work like 80. Like I'd be working in places where they'd be like, oh, just stay a little longer. And then you're not getting paid, but you're showing that, well, I can stay longer. I can work through my break.
Yeah.
And then Gen Z are like, what the fuck are we doing?
Why?
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with, I don't think they're lazy.
Like
They're just
standing
setting
up for
standards.
themselves a little bit. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think our generation, like, I mean, I grew up in investment banking. So this is
Yeah.
like classic of like, you just like, you're like almost like in the military. You're like, all right, this is what I have to do now. And you just like take the pain. And, you know, Gen Z is sort of like, no, F that. I don't have to serve my time.
Do you know what I think it is? Did you have parents or friends' parents who just worked at the same company for like 30 or 40 years?
Both of my parents.
Yeah.
You did as well?
Not my parents, but you know, I know that a lot of people.
Okay. So I feel like we're just like maybe Gen Z got, and I don't know, maybe like younger kids, their parents aren't the kind of parents that worked at one place for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like, it was like companies kind of, people rotate a lot more now, or, you know, companies let people go easier, or
The average like
whatever it
tenure,
is.
I think, is 3.5 years of employment.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
There's stats about executive
Yeah.
suites where it's like, if you're like a CMO, like have a fun year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
CMO especially, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because you either get praised or thrown over the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess maybe a CMO during like a bull market would be longer, but yeah.
I also think they're more open about their feelings and talk about things and go into therapy. And I think sometimes when you overwork, it's because you're like, you can't deal with the demons. So you're just like trying to, and like, you know, you look at the last generation, that's what they did. You know, my dad was, you know, like the boss of it's a cop in Ireland. They don't have guns, so calm down. But like the boss of the cops in the county. But he
There's
also
got to be a word for that. That's not boss of the cops.
he's superintendent, but I know here that's for like superintendent is
Schools.
It's
Yeah.
I think we'd call that chief here.
well,
right?
yeah. And so then
Like a
he
chief.
also bred horses his whole life, ran a farm.
Okay.
And he when he would like coach football.
So he
was
had a
just
life as a
constantly
Football,
on the go.
like
Gaelic
Oh.
football.
soccer.
Oh no, just constantly busy. And that's how he kind of defines like your value is work, be busy,
Mhm.
all this stuff. And but I
The
also
demons
just
can't catch you if you're just too busy to
but
notice
he's like,
them.
he's great. But I'm also like, I'm just wondering if I felt that too. And then when I went to therapy, I was a bit like, oh, I'm not lazy if I relax sometimes. And he'll say that to me even now. He'll be like, take a break, go on a holiday. Because even he's being like, I think I overworked it. But that's what I think Gen Z are at. They're just like more in touch with their feelings.
Yeah, and I also wonder if
Sure.
that's well, yes, I do think that they're more in touch with their feelings than I remember myself and my like the millennials being when we were 20 or whatever. But I think that ideal of like I want to work to live, not live to work, is kind of a young person ideal, and then you kind of get it beat out of you over time or something like that.
I
you
do
know?
think that's true.
Yeah.
I do think that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you become more ambitious, or life changes. You have kids and then you become ambitious in different ways or something. I don't know. Something happens.
I think, yeah, once your frontal cortex slowly comes in,
Is yours fully in yet? I think you got 2 years.
Yeah,
and I'm
it's
going to
gotta
get it
hear
pulled
it.
out like my wisdom teeth anyway.
Yeah.
I prefer
It's more
the
fun.
ignorance.
That's a good bit.
Because again, you lose that, and maybe that's being young, but you lose that main character syndrome, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I have a good life. Like, I don't need to be, I don't need to be the most best comedian of all the
Yeah.
comedians.
I relate to
Like,
what you're saying.
Of course. And I think you slowly, grow into that and mature. And that's one of the reasons maybe why.
Yeah. The main character syndrome. So I think there's something to be said for like not losing the main character syndrome. Probably the most successful people out there kind of never lose it.
Yeah.
I don't know if most people would actually want their lives because they're like messed up in a bunch of other ways.
But you could be like Cillian Murphy, who is clearly
who
like
actually
one
wants
of
to be president of the United States.
Oh, exactly.
Right, yeah.
But like, look
clearly nobody great. Yeah.
there are people like Cillian Murphy, who's like one of the most successful actors, and he has not got main character syndrome. Like when you see interviews with him, he's just like, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
There's some people who are able to
doesn't
keep
have
humility,
social
but I
media.
also
I
think that
learned-
success makes it so that you can be like more humble. Like, oh yeah.
That's true. What was I going to say?
You learned.
You learned a thing.
No. Oh, Jesus Christ. Come back to
I don't
it.
remember
Come
what I
back to
learned.
it.
Yeah, it's
We were
it's all
saying
good.
about that
character
there
syndrome?
can be some people who are successful and don't have main
Yeah,
character.
okay, here we are. Thank you so much, Katie.
Gotcha.
What I was going to say was that I had my first ex when I was 21, 22. She was a 8-time Vogue cover model. Okay. But she was super humble.
Kind of a humble brag.
I
for
would
you,
never,
think,
she would never say that.
Yeah.
I'm not
You're
sure
like, I
I
said
said
it all the time.
that.
But
At the time I did.
yeah.
At the time I
mean,
did.
I
but
would too.
I guess that was what I took from my relationship with her, is like how to be a lot more humble. And like, I just loved the way she acted towards people.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, if I take one thing from this person that I knew, that's what I want to take from them, like as hopefully I get more successful.
This is interesting because I mean, I've been around a lot of successful people. I don't know if I would call myself that. I'm sure we all have. When somebody's like coming up, right? There's got like humility is an interesting thing because there's got to be a level of confidence that most people are not going to see as very humble.
That's what I try to keep, right? I try to think about what's good from it. And I think the irrational confidence and always belief in yourself is what you still need.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But
so
somehow
keep that part.
Somehow be humble
hard
too.
Enough so it's not totally irrational is what I think the difference is. And maybe like this Gen Z, like at least the millennial view of the Gen Z.
This is my rub with it. I think
like you always have to have that, like to win a gold, you know, I'm obsessed with the Olympics that just happened, right? To win a gold medal, even the best of the best, their chances are like less than 10% probably, even once they get there, right? But you at least have to do the work so that you like give yourself access to that 10% possibility. And I think that's like I mean, I'm a parent now. My kids are not Gen Z, they're whatever Alpha,
the next one is,
you know, and it's like, I want to instill in them, like, you got to earn your right to have the dreams and the confidence that you want.
Yeah. Logically, I think everybody gets that.
Yeah.
I think this is my rub with like the vibe I'm getting from the kids these days, from your people, you know, the Gen Z people.
What's here?
Is that it feels like they feel entitled to the amount of like to have the confidence that they're, you know, they deserve to be paid a certain amount, or they deserve a certain level in a company, or they deserve for their startup to work or something like that. And it's like, oh, you haven't like put in the reps though. Like there's so many reps you have to put in. There's so much work you have to do before you have the skill set for that. You know what I mean? It's like in comedy, I hear a lot, like you actually don't want to blow up when you just are getting started because like, you're not really good enough yet, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you want out of it. Sometimes younger people just want it as a platform to jump off into acting or something else. Or so they might have the reps in that. And maybe the viral clips help them get to that. But I will say that for me, I wouldn't have wanted it to happen any other way. I'm glad that it's been like a pyramid, but secondly, I love the journey. Mm-hmm. So like when I put out my special, we taped it 2 years ago. It went out a year ago. And it did really well on YouTube. What I think as well, it's 500,000 views, but I think that's really good. That's more than I could have ever imagined. Yeah. But I'm a completely different comedian from then. Like I feel way stronger, but I'm like excited for people to see the journey. And I'm glad I didn't do it earlier, but I enjoy the journey. Like I knew I was like, this is the best I can do at this time. You know, my next thing will be better and it's exciting. And I think that's where if you want to, like, I wouldn't want to be at 1 million followers right now. I wouldn't want to be at, because I'm enjoying it as it builds and it feels, I don't know, it's like nice. It's exciting.
There's got to be some genuineness to it too. I think sometimes people really play the social media, YouTube algorithm game, you know, where they like make content that maybe isn't genuinely them, but will probably get more views or follows.
That's very true.
And if you're a comedian, especially, then you're eventually, this is the Matt Rife syndrome, right? Like a bunch of people got super mad at him when he put out his special and he opened with like kind of a sexist joke because he's like, you got popular with these crowd work clips that like, you know, and then you hit people with this joke that they just didn't expect from you.
Well, I mean, his audience is women and he's insecure about his masculinity and wanted to impress male comics.
Dude comics,
Which is so stupid. He should have just been like, oh, this is so great.
It's
like
really
most men comedians, like younger ones specifically, would die for a female audience because women will come out, they bring the girlies.
Women are way better consumers.
Women are the best consumers.
It's mostly men that like me.
And they bring out a crew.
If you're launching a brand, it should be for women between ages of 25 and 45.
Also as well, like even
agreed.
That's what Lucas Connolly told me. You know Lucas?
Yeah.
Lucas was like, every time there's a black woman in the audience, I go and give her my number and I tell her I'm gonna text her when I tape my special because I just want them in the audience.
You just want them.
He's like a white dude too, so I just love the confidence. He just does that, dude.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's also that joke was done in the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
it just wasn't an original joke.
It's also just like, if anything, even if your audience are all men, they should be like, Well, that's a dumb joke.
What was the joke?
it was
get her
like,
back in the kitchen.
Woman,
she
get
has a
back in the kitchen.
bruise.
She had a black eye.
If you were good in the kitchen, you wouldn't have a black eye. Like, come on, hacky.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, it was better delivery than what she just did, probably. But yeah, it was like a very played out joke that's been done a lot of times. But yeah, okay. So here's another stat. And I think this one's an interesting one. At least I don't know.
Wait, actually, just to speak on what you just said about the entitlement in the workplace. So I know that definitely, like, obviously, as a huge comedy fan, I had a huge respect for like the comedians that I watched when I was a kid. But what upset me when I came into it, and I think all three of you would be like, no, that's how you deserve to be treated, was I didn't appreciate that the senior comics, the fact that they, had networked and been there for so long, they had this sort of social clout that I couldn't have, and you couldn't break into those things easily. And I was like, this is bullshit. It should be meritocratic. That's a lot of us are like, it should be meritocratic. Not that I even had the skills at that time.
What does that mean though? That
meritocracy.
Like it's based on how funny you are.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right, for us.
Yeah.
It's based on merit. However good you are at a thing, that's how popular.
I understood.
And I think as I've gotten older,
I know that was for the that was for the stupid people that are watching later.
As I've gotten older, I think that I've shed a little bit of that naivete, I guess you could say. So now I know that, the skill is 30% of it maybe. Yeah. But there are other things you have to be good at. So
is that true? Because I think that a lot of people see comedy as one of those things that is pretty meritocratic.
Let me tell you, basically what you said is why I respect Katie, because Katie blew up over stand-up comedy clips, which most comics have to pivot to something else that they don't really want to do.
Some kind of social media
Or maybe they're just comics who want to be famous, and then that's good. They should do that. But you blew up over comedy clips.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I would sell on the road. And I've only recently posted another podcast clip, but I am apprehensive to do it because I want to make sure anybody who goes to my page knows I do stand up and that's what they're buying tickets for.
I love that.
So that's kind of where my mindset was with it. And so even now I've been like kind of going back to the podcast, and I still do it, but I'm just like, do I want to post the clips on my page? It's something that I'm kind of thinking about too, because it's just a different audience sometimes.
How often are you posting?
I post like
just a ratio, like this many stand-up clips for this many something else.
I usually post every second or third day for years.
Okay.
And I post clips, and then the joke grows. Like a lot of when I was originally posting, people were like, "You're burning material," and I was like, "Nah." Because people don't remember, and they come out to a show, or they bring a friend, they go, "Oh, I love this joke." And then secondly, the joke is constantly growing. So you're just constantly.
That's very true.
Yeah, it changes.
And it's just a very old comedy way of thinking about it, when in reality, we have to crank out material at record paces now.
It's almost the same thing with like entrepreneurship. People who want to start their own business, they ask me like, I'm like, you got to talk about your idea, because that's how it grows.
And they're like, well, I don't want anyone to steal it.
Yeah, totally. That's what people's first fear is. And I'm like, if you don't think you can do it better and faster than whoever would, air quote, steal your idea, then it's not worth doing anyway.
Yeah.
Your skin looks great.
Oh, thanks.
You don't have Botox?
No.
You use all natural?
Do you use oranges?
You use retinol?
I don't use retinol either.
Okay, so I'm telling you,
like our whole
Gen Z, get off the retinol.
Like
she can't use retinol. Even if she used it, she couldn't tell you.
Oh, because oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot. She had a kid though. Usually that's where you go downhill. They take all your calcium.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just say
is that what happens? They take their calcium thieves. Kids.
They take like everything, like all of the hormones, all of the nutrients. Straight, like
pretty
you
chill
think
for
it's
us,
for 9
honestly,
months.
though.
I know,
pretty good deal for us.
Yeah, our part is super.
We're kind of just chilling.
Our part is super easy.
It's pretty lit.
Enjoyable, even.
Jesus Christ.
Was that did someone hear a fake laugh thing right there? No.
It was one of the rats.
Okay, so one more thing I'll hit you with. I think that is really interesting, and then we'll wrap. I think this is different about like our like at least in the US, it was like you got to go to college, you got to get a degree.
Yeah.
Right? Is that Ireland as well? Are you guys college?
It's really cheap, though. You guys could go over and just do it as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's
even
a good
as
idea.
a
Pro tip, life hack.
Even as a non-citizen, it's still cheaper.
Just show up in Ireland and be like, educate me.
Yeah, because it's for Americans, it's 10 grand a year for. I remember we have Trinity, so we've good
10
colleges.
10 grand a year
for
in
us,
Ireland.
For us, it's 3 grand if you're a citizen.
That is the cheapest.
That would be the cheapest
college in all.
How much does it cost to live in Ireland?
The cost of living is expensive now and people are really upset about it. So that's the only thing. I also shouldn't be telling Americans to come over. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
No, but it's fine.
This won't get as many views as our special.
Famine population.
Yeah, but that's what my ex-boyfriend said. He was like, but the thing is, there is so much space, but in Dublin, it's so expensive. And so there's these, what are they called? Like realtors, but they don't live in Ireland and they're buying up all these
BlackRock.
We
estates.
call them Saudis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, they're like one of the guys in Holland, the other guys in the UK.
A lot of Chinese investors as well.
Well, this is the thing. And so
BlackRock's
they're buying it up, and then people can't afford. And then obviously, refugees should come to Ireland. We should welcome them in. We went everywhere. There's no, I think 100%. But the problem is now that like the people who are confused by all this are like getting mad at immigrants, and it's not immigrants they should be mad at. It's the government and people buying up housing. Like there's housing estates sitting empty in Ireland.
Yes.
And so that's like, but anyway, go to college in Ireland at your own peril.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says 49% of Gen Z teens say they would like to attend full-time college after high school,
Half of
which
them.
is a low number to
yeah,
me.
Yeah. That's low, right?
Low.
Crazy. Like if you would go one more generation up, millennials, I think it would be most. And I don't know who the sample group is.
I don't think they should go here. I actually do think you should go to
I'm actually more on board with this now.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
when
most of
when
us
I was
are.
a teenager, I'd have been like, no, you're supposed to go to college. Otherwise, you will be on the street for sure.
Yeah.
I think,
College is the
the
crap.
higher and higher prices it goes, the more people are like, yeah, I don't
What's
know.
the ROI of
I
this?
don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Well, and exactly, what's the point of putting myself into like debt slavery right away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. Did you go to college?
I did go to college,
You went
but
to NYU?
this is an Indian
Oh,
parent
NYU.
thing. Is like Indian parents in our culture, they will always pay for your higher education. So like I didn't have to take out like
What did you study?
I started as an engineering major,
Mhm.
and then I went to NYU Tisch for TV, screen, and playwriting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I think I'm still on board with college. One, if you know you want to get into something that is like, if you want to be a lawyer, you're gonna have to go.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you know that you want to get into something like
Or
that,
doctor.
for sure, doctor, lawyer, anything that you need a college degree for. I'm also on board with it in like a much more practical way too. Like I went to a school that was like a state school. It was like pretty inexpensive. Also had an athletic scholarship. So there's that. But like you can get academic like there's a lot of scholarships and things, grants and stuff like you can get instead of like going into debt to go to,
That's true.
a major school, like whatever, I don't know. Ohio State comes to mind for me, but probably not for you guys
Schools are
on the
so
East
name
Coast.
brand though, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
all
big
like
part of it.
Goonie,
I feel like it's a
Goonie,
big
right?
But it's
thing in
almost
the
like
East.
binary. It's like makes more sense to pay a ton of money and go to Harvard, or to pay almost no money and go to your,
Yeah,
But
don't go
that's
down the
not
middle.
often the option
There's
for
no,
people.
There's
It's not
no reason
often.
to go to. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it's not often like either one of the best schools in the country or
right,
or
no,
community
of
college.
course, yes,
Yeah.
that's not most people's decision.
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
I was gonna go to Harvard.
Yeah,
but-
right.
Yeah, I think it's going down what you're saying is like going down the middle almost makes no sense. Like
Right,
where it's
and that's
expensive
like a
and
huge,
not
Very-
like
it's
a market
huge
that we've
market.
created, and
Yeah.
we're assuming that there's indefinite demand for that,
Yeah.
right? Like that, our
Yeah, like
system
it
is
doesn't
kind of-
really matter if you went to like Miami U or something like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like either go big or go
Right.
like prestigious or just go cheap.
right?
Can I
Exactly.
ask
I'm on
you
board
a
with that.
question?
Yeah,
Do you have to go to college for what you're doing now?
I mean that's a good question.
For entrepreneurship?
Well,
That's
no,
not right.
because
Like you don't have to is a hard word, right? Like, do I think I would ever be in the position I am now without having gone to college? No, because I wouldn't have had the confidence, the skill set, the network, the like basic business knowledge to I wouldn't have gotten earlier jobs who then like, I've raised money for my business. Like no one would have trusted me
Yeah.
with money if I hadn't done these things. So
Where did you go?
undergrad, I went to the University of Virginia and then I went to Harvard Business School.
Yeah, see, that's an incubator. HBR,
What?
Harvard Business School it's like
Yeah.
for network. Oh, this thing you guys are going to network as well.
Yes.
if you're going to Harvard,
Yeah,
if you're going to Harvard
okay.
Business, yeah.
Yeah.
Not me,
Well,
yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound so shallow, but like it's not.
Well, no,
like,
I mean, it's actually
But that's-
shallow in our
Let me
own
just
way.
say,
I mean,
that's
setting you up for
actually
life.
super impressive that you
Yeah.
even got in. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very impressed.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
But then, yeah. So it's like, it's a have to is definitely not the case. Like obviously then there's the cases of like Bill Gates and these examples that
Sure.
people love to give of this person doesn't have a college education, but is it so much easier? And a lot of business is the confidence to be like, people ask me like, how did you create something from scratch? And I'm like, I don't know, which step do you want to talk about? Like, because there's a bajillion steps in between, like thinking, having an idea and turning it into a company. And I think it's like the confidence of like, you're going to figure it out.
How old is your company?
How old are we? 3
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
How old are your kids? That's like they're the same age, right?
Basically, yeah. So I found out I was pregnant with my son, like when I was quitting my job and starting my company.
Seems like a good.
Yeah.
Did it give you a second? Did you have like second thoughts or?
Oh, I mean, this was December 2019 into January 2020. And I quit my job as CEO in January 2020. And then March 2020 rolls around and I'm like, oh my God, I made the worst decision of my life.
But it was actually 2020 ended up being an incredible time to launch a business. That's
but like we didn't actually launch it.
I know you were doing a bunch of studies.
Plus of the research and
if you would
stuff.
have launched that, you would have been a great time.
I know. If only.
But you're doing great.
Yeah, no, we're doing great.
I have no idea. I've never heard of you.
I'll Google you later if you'd like. But
I got 2 more followers. It'll be great.
Well, cool. Let's pitch some stuff, plug some stuff. Start over here. Website.
Sure. VeracitySelfCare.com. Find us on Instagram or TikTok and check us out. It's really about root cause approach to, metabolic health and energy and weight management and all the stuff.
Nice. Yes. If you're thinking about getting on Ozempic, don't do it like I did it. Go there first.
Check us out first.
Try
at least
because it's all natural, right?
Yes, exactly.
At least,
or when you're ready to get off, then you
Or if you've had some,
it's
too
You've
late.
The chemicals.
It's too late for me. Yeah, the chemicals are in. Katie.
I'm at Katie Boyle Comic and everything. My special is on YouTube. It's called I'll Do It Myself. Do not message me that I have wrinkles because I was really convinced I didn't until your reaction.
You don't have wrinkles.
That's what I was talking about when I said my skin was good.
Oh, okay.
Your skin's great. That's not what you said earlier, and I will carry this with me for the rest of my life.
If your measuring stick is wrinkles, then your skin.
That's what I was talking about because I was talking about retinal.
I'm known for rude comedy, and I was just like, nice. So yeah, you definitely were.
I was really an asshole then. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, and
you look fantastic.
It was I'm on this for free.
It's like us guys,
and this guy's attacking.
Us guys just don't understand their culture,
right?
And sometimes because of that, we have to learn the culture to not offend. Because one time, and this is going to sound so obvious now as a 24-year-old, and even to you,
now that
I was on a date with a girl, one of my first dates ever, and like she was eating all the things. I'm like, good job, you finished all the food. But I had to fundamentally understand that about their culture to know not to do that. Because I mean,
if a woman said that to a man, it would be insane as well. And if you liked that, because it's infantilizing.
No,
but it doesn't even come down to fat shaming. It comes down to infantilizing, and women are like, we have independence now. No, you cannot. Like we've our own money, we've our own stuff. We can vote.
No, let me argue with this one.
Saying good job, well done, you ate. That's insane.
I don't think I said it so patronizingly. Okay. I think I said something like, "Oh, you like ate a lot." Like.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know you could eat so much.
You sound like my grandmother when she like would be like.
Well, that's the thing is that's what I was being like because like every time I finish all my food, like my mom would be like, "That's like so great."
Exactly, your mom.
That's true.
You're just proving my point.
Not to waste the food.
And if my grandmother was doing it, it would be to fat shame.
He's on for one of his first dates. He was like, "I don't know what to talk about." You finished all your food. Good job.
You second date.
With that girl, I did not. No.
Probably not.
And then you went for a model afterwards.
She didn't have enough Vogue covers, so I was like,
you were like, you're eating too much.
You are eating a lot.
Let me go for the lettuce girl.
We also didn't talk about why he broke up with Vogue cover woman who was perfectly humble.
I'm going to guess she broke up with him.
Okay.
That's accurate.
Yeah. Just throwing that.
Can I just say one more thing? www.katieboylecomic.com. Come to shows. Okay, go.
Yes. Go to her shows, see her.
What should I plug? I guess you can go to www.yfigredo.com, but you could just click the link in any of my bios. That's like a lot better in my opinion. I work harder on that site than on the actual website. I know I got to be better.
What's your handle?
Handle is at Wyatt Figredo. That's WYATTFEEGRADO. I have a bunch of shows coming up, mostly on the West Coast starting next month. So that'll be really cool. Also, if you guys are interested in dating stuff, do an all Indian dating show called Garam Masala Dating, where every 2 weeks we're going every week. Now we're doing New York and Jersey every other week. And then also I have a podcast called Dr. Lawyer Comedian. You can watch that if you'd like.
Very funny podcast. Yeah, I like it.
Oh, I have a podcast called The Shift. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, also a funny podcast. I'm not the demo, but yeah.
What does that mean? Oh, you're not the target audience?
Yeah. I'm not the target audience, right? Would you agree with that?
No. I I think
No?
it's anybody.
Okay. All right.
I don't know
It's
what my
funny.
target
Check it
audience
out.
is. Maybe
Anybody-
that's what.
Yeah, look,
I
I'm
need to
not
learn
even
some
going to say who the
business.
target audience is then. Yeah, and then obviously if you're watching this, listening to this, comment, like, subscribe, leave a review, whatever people tell you to do on the platform you're on. This has been Dark Mode. Thanks for being here, guys.